I think Old Trafford is no longer a theatre of dreams. Instead, it has turned out into a theatre of nightmares. Let me correct you over that. It is not a three-horse title race. It is a four-horse title race because Chelsea come into the question. Spurs did their homework very well. Cole Palmer, the hottest property currently in the English Premier League.
Wagwan Wada, welcome to Pulse Sports EEPL Recap. My name is Steve Awino and today we are talking everything Premier League. Over the past week, we saw defending champions Manchester City held to a draw against Newcastle. Liverpool took the top spot with a win against Wolves. Manchester United suffering at the hands of Tottenham. Arsenal spared their blemishes against Leicester. And finally, Chelsea, are they really back with their result against Brighton? Let us be told that by Chelsea diehard supporter Evans Osuru. Evans.
Thank you so much. I believe the Blues have shown promise under coach Enzo Maresca since the Italian took over in the summer. Because looking at the results over the weekend, despite falling to an early lead against Brighton, Chelsea bounced back majestically, won 4-2 courtesy of 4 goals from none other than Cole Palmer, the hottest property currently in the English Premier League.
Can we rename it to Cold Palmer FC then?
Chelsea cannot be called Palmer because the boy is scoring goals left, right, center. Leave alone free kicks or penalties. He is all-rounded.
But what do you think? Is it that you have had a run of easy games, or are Chelsea really back and should be considered a problem in the title race?
It's not a matter of having easy games, because if you look at what he did last season, he's only picked up from where he left. And considering that Chelsea is under new management and most of the players being new and trying to regroup and gel into the squad, I believe Chelsea is on the right track.
Okay, moving on. Arsenal spared the blemishes against Leicester FC. Similar score to Chelsea, 4-2 against Leicester. What do you think? Do they really have what it takes to win the title this time round, given what we saw in that match? They dominated, but then they allowed Leicester to score 2 goals out of nowhere.
I expected Arsenal to cruise in that match, but unfortunately, after going 2-0 up, they conceded 2 needless goals, and they faced a monumental task to regain their lead. And thankfully, I believe Leandro Trossard will play a crucial role this season because he scored the much-needed winner before Kai Havertz completed the route. But I think basically Arsenal are a force to reckon with this season.
And should Calafiori have been sent off in that match?
It is subject to debate because if you look at his performance in the last 2 or 3 matches, Calafiori is now trying to settle in English football. If you looked at his goal against Manchester City the previous weekend, he is showing signs that he is not only a defender, but he can pop in with match-winning goals as well. But against Leicester, I believe that should have been a second yellow card because the tackle was more of, there was a slight contact, which I believe warranted a second yellow card.
Okay, so you believe he should have been sent off?
He should have been sent off, but again, it is subject to debate, as I said.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to their title rivals, Manchester City. They have been weakened deeply by Rodri's absence, De Bruyne's absence. We saw them held at St. James's Park against Newcastle. What do you think their title chances are this season? I
think Pep Guardiola confirmed the worst fears when Rodri was ruled out for the rest of the season. And to begin with, beginning life against Newcastle without the absence of their talismanic midfielder was something of a challenge, because if you looked at the way Newcastle managed that match, they generally went toe-to-toe with City, considering that City lack an anchorman in Rodri. And I believe the absence of Rodri will be a big factor in this season's title race.
Do you reckon they lose the season on missing Rodri? Because even we saw against Arsenal, immediately Rodri came off. Arsenal took the game by the scruff and scored the equalizer immediately, then went up before halftime.
I believe it will boil down to how Pep Guardiola is now going to adjust without his go-to midfielder, because looking at last season, everybody ruled out City completely after Kevin De Bruyne missed majority of the season. But Pep Guardiola had a solution in Phil Foden, who I think was one of the best players last season. Pep is much known with his tactic and trying to adjust to the system and the players available at his disposal. So I believe as time goes by, Mateo Kovacic will find a fitting role to try and fill in the void left by Rodri, definitely.
Okay, going on, do we have a three-way title race, seeing how Ancelotti has transformed Liverpool with their win over the weekend against Wolves, Konate and Salah on the score sheet for the Reds? Do you reckon we have a three-way title race on our hands here?
Let me correct you over that. It is not a three-horse title race. It is a four-horse title race because Chelsea come into the question. If you look at the performance of Chelsea since losing that match against City, Chelsea has been a team on the upward trajectory because looking at how they toyed with the Wolverhampton Wanderers, how they played against West Ham, and recently, just 2 days ago, how they tackled Brighton and Hove Albion, it tells you that Chelsea have improved in the last couple of matches, barely 3 months into Enzo Maresca's tenure. So it's not about Arsenal, Liverpool, and Manchester City. Chelsea must be the question.
Four-way title race.
Four-way title race.
It will be hard, this one. Let's see who comes out on top. Okay, moving on to a struggling team, Manchester United. Old Trafford has lost its aura. Like, Old Trafford is somewhere you feared to go to because of you could go there and get slapped properly, either 5-0, 6-0, 8-2, famously Arsenal. But now Tottenham went there, took the game to them, 3-0. What do you think?
I think Old Trafford is no longer a theatre of dreams. Instead, it has turned out into a theatre of nightmares, because if you look at the way Tottenham ripped United apart from the first minute, by scoring in the second minute, it was barely impossible for United to be back in that match, because the setup in which Ten Hag set his team, I believe he lacked a formula, he lacked a pattern. There was no rhythm and sync between midfield and attack, while the defense was totally in shambles. I believe Ten Hag has a lot of work to do if at all he believes he's the right man to take United forward. But as things stand, as performance reflect, Manchester United are regressing, not improving.
Do you reckon that performance warranted Ten Hag's sacking?
I don't believe so, because it is only 6 matches into the new season. But I believe the pressure is already mounting from the players to have the coach sacked in the first place, because I believe it was a matter of buying time, extending his contract with the hope that maybe he could be the right man for the project. But as far as results are concerned, 6 matches into the new season, Ten Hag is still the same coach, applying the same tactics that he used last season. And worryingly for United is that players are not showing determination. They are not fighting for the balls. They are not playing with desire. I think the mentality is at its rock bottom. So it is a whole lot of problems surrounding about the rot in the current United squad. So it is going to be difficult for Ten Hag to solve the issue if at all he keeps on doing the same things without realizing that he needs to make changes. And some of the changes he needs to make is looking at the players that have performed dismally in the last 3-4 matches, because in as much as people are saying Marcus Rashford wanted the ball against Spurs, but Rashford has been a pale shadow of his former self, and Ten Hag has persisted with him since the first match. I believe Rashford deserves a rest. He deserves to sit on the bench and see how the rest of the team copes up in his absence.
Yeah, and you mentioned the players not fighting for Ten Hag. Could that be down to the fact that they don't believe in him? As we saw with the Manchester United board, they didn't believe in Ten Hag. Over the summer, they went to look for another manager. They didn't find one, and so they stuck with Ten Hag. that could have spoken to the mentality of the players that even the board don't trust him. Why should we trust him? Do you think that is?
As I've said, the board made the wrong decision by trusting Ten Hag after considering all their options. In fact, they contacted Thomas Tuchel, did an interview with him, but only for Tuchel to turn the United job down. And some of the reasons revealed why Tuchel really rejected the offer was that the transfer budget was too low for Tuchel to try and at least get the players he would have required to turn Manchester into a well-oiled machine and finally try and fight for a top four. But all said, Manchester United have a lot of work to do in their hands.
Okay, and they go to Aston Villa away next match week. Do you reckon they come out of that one unscathed?
To me, it's not about going to Aston Villa. They've got opportunity to turn the results around against FC Porto on Thursday in the Europa League. To me, it is now back to the drawing board for Ten Hag to see where things went wrong, what needs to be done, and ensure that Manchester United return back to winning ways, because the confidence and the mentality have suffered a big blow against Spurs, and the players now need to look at themselves on the mirror and try see the ways in which they can work together with their manager. I think the Thursday match will be a litmus test for United, but Porto is not as strong as it used to be.
Finally, on to Spurs. Do you think it was a case of them being good or a case of Manchester United just being Manchester United?
I believe Spurs did their homework very well, because one, they knew United is a team that once you press them, they look vulnerable, both defensively and at the center of the park. And the availability and the weapon in which James Maddison really did a good job against United, because he was at the heart, at the center of everything that Spurs produced. In fact, leading to the red card that resulted into United captain being sent off. It's not a matter of Spurs maybe not good enough or good enough for this season. It is a matter of trying to adjust to how the opponent played, and Spurs got their homework right. And I believe a coach needs to study the opponent first, look at its strengths and weaknesses before trying to unleash his arsenals in against whichever team.
Should Bruno have been sent off?
Definitely, that's a red card, if you ask me, because the stats were raised, in as much as he said afterwards that it was not intentional, that he slipped and it was accidental. That was a red card. That's why you saw the referee didn't even go look at the VR.
That's it, Wadau, from Pulse Sports EPL Recap. My name is Steve Awino. I've been joined by Evans Osuru. Thank you very much. Liverpool leading the title race right now, top of the spot, followed by Manchester City, Arsenal and Chelsea right hot on their tails. Same time, same place next week.